Welcome into Steelers Latest, your daily spot for all news and information related to your Pittsburgh Steelers. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content to stay up to date with everything Steelers. But let's get rolling. As trade rumors are swirling around Pittsburgh right now, as there have been 5 different trade rumors I saw. Let's start with the tight end trade rumor, the my least interesting one, I believe. But Adam Schefter reported that the Steelers and Dolphins had talks about possibly a deal for Jonnu Smith. Uh, I don't really see too much of a benefit to this move besides maybe possibly slightly better two tight end set and pass plays. But besides that, I also would rather see Washington getting those reps, see him more involved in the pass game because he is the bigger body. Then he's bigger than Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith never really has been too impressive in my opinion. I know he's a Pro Bowl tight end, but he's never been like a top 5 tight end in the league, in my opinion. I think our tight end room is already pretty set. I'd rather not waste assets for next year's draft or for next year's team on just a lateral move that doesn't really benefit a position room at all. I don't think he'd start over Freiermuth. I think Freiermuth would still be our tight end one. He would once again just be there for two tight end pass plays, two tight end sets on pass plays, which doesn't seem too beneficial when I already think you got someone like Darnell Washington who can be way more useful in the pass game, and we just haven't used him in passing scenarios too much throughout his career yet. And there's already a good duo there with Moose being the pass guy, the route runner, the dude that can get receptions, and Washington being the blocker in the tight end room. So I just don't see the benefit in adding Jonnu Smith. But there are more interesting trade rumors as there were 4 wide receivers rumored to be coming to the not coming to the Steelers, but in talks with the Steelers. 4 different teams. Those teams being the New York Jets with Alan Lazard, the Saints with Chris Olave, the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill, and the Packers with Romeo Dobbs. Which out of these 4 would be my favorite and which would be my least favorite? Let's go through the rankings. Number 4, my least favorite option here. Clearly, Alan Lazard is the one that stands out as not really the best of moves. Once again, I feel like it would be a waste of assets. I think the only reason this is really being considered is once again, he's a friend of Aaron Rodgers. We're still trying to entice Aaron Rodgers to come to Pittsburgh. A lot of people are really hitting him hard in media right now about still not making a decision. So maybe the Steelers are trying to lighten up the mood a little bit and bring one of his friends to town. I don't really see the benefit in this. Kind of like Robert Woods. I think he's a little over the hill. He's still slightly younger than Robert Woods, but I never really was too impressed with Lazard even during his really solid seasons he had with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. To number 3 though, Romeo Dobbs. He's doing this contract year. Definitely a cheaper option than someone like Chris Olave, who's also in his contract year that we'll talk about soon. So he could be a cheaper option for maybe extending a guy that you trade for. Once again, kind of like DK Metcalf, you trade for him, you give him an extension. You probably could get him for pretty cheap now. He's proven that he can be a solid wide receiver 2 option in his career. He's gone over 600 yards in the past 2 seasons with Green Bay. So I think he would be a solid option. Definitely not loss if we were to trade for him. I think there could be benefit in trading for someone like Romeo Dobbs. Kind of like Calvin Alston's build, though. So we might already have a guy that kind of fits his build and his role for the team. So not too I'm not really pushing for that one too hard. But number 2, these are the 2 big ones. But my number 2 one, Tyreek Hill. I know, shocking, he isn't number 1, but Tyreek Hill, we know what he brings. He's the biggest big play threat in all of football. The cheetah for a reason. He can just zoom by anyone on the defensive side of the ball, any play. He would be a threat. Would be the greatest duo in Pittsburgh at wide receiver since Stallworth and Swan, having DK Metcalf and Tyreek Hill on opposing sides of the field from each other. It would be crazy. We still don't have a quarterback to throw them the ball consistently, but I feel like if you give Mason Rudolph, Hill, and DK Metcalf, he can't have too terrible of a season. That has to be at least a 30 touchdown year for even someone like Mason Rudolph. You got two threats like Hill and Metcalf. Now the thing with Tyreek Hill is definitely way more expensive than any other option here. Also, hitting that age where he could start to see a decline in his game. Is coming off of a down year last year with Miami. This is why this could also be something that happens because Tyreek Hill and Miami have had a weird relationship, it seems like, from the start. So wouldn't be too surprising. Would be one of the bigger moves in Steelers history once again, going after a big name wide receiver this offseason. But I wouldn't hold my breath. Very, very expensive it's gonna be to get Tyreek Hill over to Pittsburgh. I feel like a lot of capital could be lost just by trading for him. So that's one thing that kind of makes me want to ease up on it because he is an older player and we'd have to give up so much to get a player like Tyreek Hill. But the last one, number one, the dude I want the most, Chris Olave, would be a great addition to this team. Before last year, the first 2 years of his career, he was a 1,000-yard receiver. He's always been the number one guy in New Orleans. Hasn't really had a quarterback in his career there. Wouldn't really change here in Pittsburgh right now. But I think Mason Rudolph can kind of put up Derek Carr-ish numbers when he was playing for the Saints. Also, he's never had to be the number two. He's always been the number one. So being the number two would be a beneficial for him in this point in his career, I think. And it could also be a great duo if he does have a great season this year. You re-sign him to a contract, extend him for a couple more years. You could have him transition to number one in his time here in Pittsburgh as DK kind of his athleticism comes down with age and he'll transition to number two. You could have a great transition there of number one wide receivers and number two wide receivers as DK ages and Olave steps into his prime here soon. So I think Olave would be the most entertaining one just because of the longevity he could have in Pittsburgh if we did go after a deal there. Whereas with Tyreek Hill, it's more of like a 1-2 year thing. If you were to bring in someone like Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf is already getting up there a little bit in his age. I know he's still a couple years before his 30-year-old season, but you know, in NFL years, the closer you get to 30, it's like it's almost over for you. So that is my list of who I'd be more interested in. Remember, Lazard is my least favorite option. Romeo Dobbs, third. Tyreek Hill, second. Chris Olave, favorite option, number one. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But let's move on to some of OTA news as Will Howard addresses his struggles in his first practice, first day of OTAs. Will Howard went out there and really struggled against the Steelers defense at practice. He addressed it in media on Thursday, saying it was a work in progress and it didn't feel great coming off the field that day, but it was a good learning experience for him to kind of step back and realize this is the NFL now, as the Steelers defense is not one of the first defenses I'd want to face during practice for sure. One of my first days at work going up against the Steelers defense, even if it is the backups and the undrafted free agents, all of them, it's still gonna be tough. Everyone's competing for a position for the team right now. But we like to hear that he's looking to learn from these struggles. We like to hear that he's gonna continue to try to push forward. We knew it was never gonna be pretty. He is a sixth round draft pick for a reason. It's gonna be a long term development. We're probably not gonna see him this year, but the good news is he did take what he learned in day one and did perform better in day two and day three. That's all you can ask for. Will Howard. Hopefully, we continue to see progress throughout his short time here in OTAs and through training camp and up to the beginning of the season. Hopefully, he continues to develop and put forth better efforts than that first day because it was pretty brutal. But let's move on to another rookie that has been shining in the first 3 days of OTAs. Kaleb Johnson. I mean, There's the on the field stuff. He continues to look strong, physical, and fast. He checked in at 22 miles per hour running one day. I mean, that's ridiculously fast for how big of a man he is. But that's not what's really standing out to me. During his media time today, he talked about how he needed to improve his pass blocking. He also talked about how he's already talked to Jalen Warren, and they've discussed getting together after practice every day to work even more, and that's going to be great. Jalen Warren's a great pass blocker, so I mean, Johnson's already making it clear that that's the thing he wants to work on, and he has a great mentor to learn from with someone like Jalen Warren, and that is beautiful to hear as a Steelers fan. You want your players, your workhorse running back to have work ethic. You want them to show that work ethic and that strong personality, and that's what he's been doing here in the first couple of days at OTAs. We love to see it from Kaleb Johnson. We love that our third round pick isn't letting us down at all just yet. So that has been it from Steelers Latest. I've been your host, Cole Dennis, and I will see you Monday.